Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I have another card for you using the Spotlight on Nature. And this card sort of it is a spotlight technique. The traditional spotlight technique would be a basic picture with one section pulled out, but I really like this layered up technique. It's something that I haven't done for quite a long time, and it these dies made me think of it, so I thought I'd give it a go. So I've used the three main stamps from the stamp set, and then this little splatter stamp I've just done. Hopefully you can see that on the corners. I'm not sure if I like that or not along the bottom, because it makes it look like I've smudged it, I think, from a distance. But anyway, we'll might leave the next one clear. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going to show you how I did it. I used the dies, which I seem to have mislaid. No, here they are. My desk is a mess. So these are the dies, and this time, in my previous video, I used this sort of dots and dash, the one I call the Morse code die. This time I used this sort of starburst or sunburst effect around the edge, because I needed something that was reasonably flat, because you stamp over it. So I've used the three sizes. So this is the biggest one, then this one, then this one. The only one I haven't used is this little teeny tiny one, because I thought that might be a little bit of a nightmare to line up, and you will see why. I could have used it. And if you have these and you want to give it a go, you could. And then the other thing I've used, this is the 2023 New Core Colours collection. So I did purchase these last year, but the colours that I've used are still relevant. There might be one. Oh no, that is still in there. So these are when we had a bit of a colour refresh. So there were some colours that came back, like Misty Moonlight, Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock. And then we gained Pecan Pie, Lemon Lolly, Lemon Lime Twist came back. Now some of these I did already have, because I usually buy the set of 5 in colour markers, and the colours that came back were in colours. But oh, Azure Afternoon was another new one. What's this one? Misty Moonlight came back. Blueberry Bushel came back. Azure Afternoon is new. Pretty Peacock is new. Came back. Lost Lagoon came back. And then Lemon Lolly and Pecan Pie were new, and Lemon Lime Twist came back. So, yeah, you may have these as separate Stampin' Right markers. This is just how mine came, but they are all current colours. Okay, so I have pulled out Pretty Peacock, Fresh Freesia and Bubble Bath, and Berry Burst, which are all current colours. As I said, some of these I've got from when they were in colours. So you get 5 pens or 5 colours in each set of ink colours. You can buy those as ink pads. You can buy the re-inkers for the ink pads. You can buy them in a pack for the Stampin' Right markers, as well as obviously the cardstock. Okay, so they're the colours I'm going to use. So our base is Bubble Bath. I'm just going to move the stamp set out of the way so I can bring in my bits that I've prepared. So the base is Bubble Bath, and the rest is basic white. Okay, so the first thing to do is fold our base. Now I do score mine. My ladies in my classes prefer them to be scored, but sometimes they're not exactly right, so I always do check that they line up and go over the crease with a bone folder to make sure that they are level. It's because of the increments we'd have to cut them out. I won't go into that now. Right, so I have a piece of white for inside. So we are going to stamp the butterfly in Bubble Bath on the inside, and for that I'm going to use the ink pad. For the rest of the stamping I'm going to be using the Stampin' Right markers. So for this one we're going to use the ink pad, and we're just stamping that in there like that. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of that ink pad out of my way. That's the inside of our card, so we may as well just go ahead and stick that in. Wasn't sure about Bubble Bath when it first came out. So it's quite a pale, almost mauvey pink. And I'm not going to lie, I am pleased that we got Pretty in Pink back in this year's In Colours, because I feel we were quite lacking in pale pinks. Otherwise, it was literally Fresh Freesia, which is more of a mauve, Flirty Flamingo, Melon Mambo, Berry Burst, and Petal Pink. So it's nice to have some other pinks. Okay, so that's our base card, and we've already stuck our inner in there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is layer up the piece that's going to go on the front with our circles. Now, I've managed to do that last one without getting in too much of a pickle, but you can bet your life, because I'm videoing this, that this will be an absolute unmitigated disaster, but we'll give it a go anyway. So what you need to do, this is our matte layer. Sorry, I should have said the two pieces of basic white matte layers for inside and on the front are 14.3 by 10 centimeters. And then these are the three circles I've chosen to use. And as I said, I could have used the little one, but I feel like I might be pushing my luck a little bit with an extra one in the middle. So basically, we want this to be fairly central. So we put our big circle in first, and then we go in with our other two. Now, I can imagine some of you are shouting at the screen that you're watching me on, going, use some repositional tape, which you can. I choose not to, because I like to go a bit rogue. So what we're then going to do, I'm going to bring in my pens. You can just see what I'm doing, hopefully, because I don't want to move this. Now, if I did have repositionable tape on it, I could move it about, but anyway, I like to live a risky life. Not really, just in little random bits like this. I'm a Sagittarius, and it just, it's just that I need to prove to myself that I can do it. It'll probably all go horribly wrong now. And then you'll all be going, well, I did tell you. I did tell you to use some repositionable tape. And if I'm being honest, I don't actually know where my repositionable tape is. So that's why I'm not using it. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Fresh Freesia and Bubble Bath. Now, Fresh Freesia is slightly darker than Bubble Bath, so I'm going to go in with that one first. And what I'm going to do is just do the bottoms of the flowers with that. So about halfway up. Obviously a bit further on the bigger flower and a little bit less on the smaller flowers. Now, when you're colouring in with your blends, always make sure that you use the side of the nib rather than the pointy bit, especially when you're using the brush nib. It just is better for your brush nibs. It stops them getting mangled. Okay, so I'm just going over the tops of the flowers and making sure that I'm blending that down into where I went over with the Fresh Freesia, because I want to have like a two-tone effect. Okay, so that's our stamp inked up. Now, I'm sure you've heard me do this before, but if you take a little while in your colouring, then what you need to do is huff on it. So it's basically sort of a breath, and that re-moistens the ink. So I'm going to do that now. And make sure you cover the whole stamp. Now, normally I say to you, don't put your stamp on a block that's bigger. But on this one, I actually want it a bit bigger because I need to be able to get my hands each side. And I'm just going to drop that down on there and just give it some even pressure and let it sit there for a minute. I'm not wobbling it about, just so the ink can soak it in, and then just lift it straight up. And I told you this was all going to go horribly wrong because I haven't got a very good image there, but it's fine. We'll run with that. Okay, then I'm going to bring my leaves in. So it's my fault I didn't get enough ink on the top of the flower, but we will have to live with that. Okay, I could try and re-stamp it, but the chances of me lining that up are probably about 60 to 1, if not, no, probably 90 to 1. I'm not a betting person, but yeah, not good odds. Okay, so I'm doing exactly the same thing on the leaves, using the side of the brush tip end to get my ink on there. Now, if you wanted this a bit paler, you could stamp it off. But I want full coverage, and I'm going to go in there because I want to avoid that flower on the left. Give it a minute for the ink to soak in, and I think what I probably did was didn't put enough pressure on there. Okay, and we're going to do that again on the other side. So there is still ink left on the stamp, and I could, in theory, put that back over because some of the ink has come off, but like I said, the odds of me lining that up are pretty slim. But I'll show you how I'm going to get around that when we've done this part. Okay, so hoof again, and this one needs to go slightly out further because we want to avoid the leaves we've already got on there, but just enough to frame it. Okay, and my middle circle lifted off, which is why I didn't use the small one, but it's okay because obviously we can line it back up. So that piece goes in there like that. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this ink off my table. What I should have done is put a piece of scrap paper underneath, but as you can see, my mat is extremely messy. Okay, so I've cleaned that off there. So now we're going to rescue, we're done with this one, so I'm going to put that out of the way. We're going to rescue this back section because don't forget, when these are stuck back down, we won't see underneath there. So what I'm going to do is give it a go. Now we know that this is this top flower, and that is just the edge of it. So it was stamped up the middle. So I think I'm only pressing on that flower because I didn't want the ink to come back down here. So hopefully now when we line that up, I've got it okay. Now, where did that piece come from? This is the only trouble. There. There. That piece goes there. Oh, I didn't do it far enough up, did I? Thought I had. Could have sworn I'd got that up there. There, told you it was all going to go horribly wrong, didn't I? Let's slide that down a bit there so we get the impression, which is what we're after. Yeah, okay. That'll be okay. So now what we're going to do is line this all up. So these pieces are going to be put on dimensionals. So I need to put dimensionals on the backs of all of these. So the big one I'm going for 4, north, south, east and west. The smaller one I'm going for 3. And there's a reason why I'm not putting loads of dimensionals on, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then this one, we're just going for 2. So if I was to absolutely cover these in dimensionals, and when I put them down, I don't line them up properly, it's going to give us a bit of a nightmare trying to line it up. And I've just realised that I haven't actually stamped the butterfly on this one. So on my first card, I did the butterfly coming off the edge, and I haven't done that this time, but it doesn't really matter. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this onto my card front before I layer up the circles, because otherwise it makes it difficult to put any pressure on this to get this down flat. So obviously just make sure you get it up the right way, because that would be a disaster. Okay, so we're going to line this up. Okay, now by not having too many dimensionals on the back, it gives us a little bit more of a chance to pull it back off and reposition it if we don't get it in the right place. the first time. Okay, so what we need to do now is line this up with the image that we've got left. Sorry, you can't really see that, can you? Let me move that out of the way so I can move up. We're lining this up with the image that is left on our front matte layer. And this is why I said it doesn't pay to put too many dimensionals on, because you might need to pick it up and jiggle. Okay, I think that's... Oh, see, that's a little bit high. But by not having a million dimensionals on there, that gives me an option to move it round a little bit. Yeah, I think that's better. So we'll go with that. And then this is our next size down. I'm just taking the dimensional backs off. And then we need to line it up again. So the easiest way to do this is to go with that leaf there and that leaf there. And you will have a few gaps in between. Let's move that down a little bit. It might not be completely central, but that shows that little bit of that flower then that we went in with. And I thought I'd got that right, and I obviously was a little bit high with the, or low with the stamp. Anyway, it's really difficult with red rubber. Anyway, we got there. Okay, and then we just need to line this one up as well and make sure it's central. Around a little bit more, I think. There. Okay, now you can do this technique with a colour layer between each layer that you've stamped on, which covers up these gaps. But actually, I don't mind the gaps. If I hold it up, you can see you've got a slight gap here between the image, but I don't mind the gaps. And obviously, I would need to then work out some other circles to go in between. And there's not really room between these two. But, you know, if it really bugs you, you could do a very a smaller circle underneath. As I said, I've forgotten to stamp the butterfly. Now, the butterfly is just on this outside circle and here. So we could give it a go. And I just have to make sure I push that down, which is another reason why we don't want 1,000,001 dimensionals on there. So for the butterfly, I brought in some Berry Burst on the outsides of the wings. And obviously colouring with the pens makes it possible to do more than one colour on the same stamp. So we're going to go with that on there. And then I went in with my Fresh Freesia. Again, with the brush tip end and making sure that you use it on the side so you don't damage the nib. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring that bubble bath in just for the antenna. I used a Fresh Freesia on the other one, but we'll do pretty bubble bath. Right, now I wouldn't normally recommend doing this. You know, always try and remember to stamp your image first. But because it's just on that edge, I think we might get away with it because the dimensionals are there and there. So let's just give it a go. As I said, it could all go horribly wrong. I forgot to huff on it. There we go. That's not too bad, is it? Okay, rescued. Obviously, you're using white, so try not to get your fingers too mucky. Okay, and then the last thing that I did was I came in with some gems. Now, I've got these pastel pearls, and I think these were brought out to go with the lavender suite. But the colourways go really nicely. Now, on my first card, I put my stamped image and my circles slightly higher up. So I put my pearls down here in the right-hand corner. On this one, I've stamped it a little bit further down. So what I'm going to do, this time is put them up in the top corner. So, and I'm going to change around the order. So we've got a purple one. And a pink one. I'm just trying to make sure I get them in line. And then there are darker purple ones, but I'm not going to use those today. I think, if from memory, that's Gorgeous Grape, Pearl, Fresh Freesia, and that's might well be Bubble Bath, actually. So we're going to put those there this time. So wherever you've got a gap, really. And again, I'm not sure if those are still available, but I am trying desperately to use up my stash of gems before I buy anything else. And then I'm just going to come in with my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to put a little bit of Wink of Stella on the flowers. Just to make them stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to do a little bit on the edge of the butterfly wings as well. And obviously you have to remember with Wink of Stella that it's alcohol based, so it will blend our water-based colours a little bit. But I don't mind that. It gives it sort of a nice, softer touch. Okay, there we go. So there's our finished card. Let me bring in the one that I made earlier. And do you know what? I absolutely do prefer it with the plain white and not that stamped splatter. So I think that just makes it look a little bit grubby. But, you know, some people would like it, so that's fine. But personally, I think I prefer the clean edge. Okay, so that's my card. Hopefully you'll give it a go. Obviously, I've used the Spotlight on Nature circles. If you don't have those in the stamp set, obviously, if you want to, please purchase them. If you're in the UK, you can purchase them through me. If not, you can purchase them through your local demonstrator. But if you don't have them, you could always use our circle dies. We have got that fantastic set that has got a lot of circles in it. Then obviously you wouldn't have the patterned edge, you would just have the plain edge. But if you have another stamp set and those circle dies, then you could always give that a go with these. Okay, so that's my card. I hope you like it. I hope you'll give it a go. I'm always grateful for thumbs up on my YouTube videos if you feel so inclined. And I'll see you all again soon with some more goodies. Going to have a little spend after this, so I'll have new stuff to show you hopefully next time. Okay, thanks for watching and bearing with me, and I'll see you all again soon. Happy stamping and see you all soon.